School went up to standard 4, and therefore I passed standard 4. Something had happened during that period in education. We wrote different papers and so on, and I happened to be the only one who passed in his school. Then I proceeded and did standard 5 and standard 6 at St. George's Higher Primary School, where I obtained a first class pass in standard 6. For standard 7, which at that time was called Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, I went to Osborne Secondary School and I passed Form 3, proceeded to Shawbury Institution for Form 4 and Form 5, which is now matric. Now, throughout my schooling, I had carried on what I had learned from my parents, what I had learned when I grew up with my parents. I had to speak on behalf of other students. Whenever there were problems at the boarding school, I was the person who had to speak on behalf of other learners. And also I distinguished myself in many things. Like when I was doing Form 3, at that time there were oral exams. I happened to be chosen to be the best in Xhosa, which is my mother tongue, and also in English, and I represented the school. The same thing applied when I was doing matric. Then from matric I started having conflict with my family. I wanted to either do nursing or social science. My father wanted me to go to Forte and do some BA degree and eventually a teacher's diploma, because all my siblings were teachers. She wanted me to follow the family tradition. This time I felt I have always listened to my parents. I had to follow what I wanted to follow. So January, February, I had not applied to Forte. I stayed at home and I said to my father, I am not going to Forte. In the meantime, I had applied to do nursing at King Edward in Durban, and they had accepted me. But because I wanted his permission also, I stayed and didn't go to King Edward. Then he was worried because I would make him breakfast, make him lunch, make him supper, and he thought I wouldn't be going further with my education, and yet I had got a matric exemption. I then applied to Baragwanath Hospital, and because of my good results, and at that time JC was also still very much acceptable to nursing, things were very fast. Their response was quick. They just gave me a prospectus of the things I would bring, and they told me I would have to start on the 8th of July. This time my father agreed to let me go beyond the Eastern Cape. My mother had already passed on to come with her story of blacks eating other blacks. So at least nothing prevented me from doing